Welcome back. This is the second lecture by the Proud Indian, and today I am going to deal with the balancing of rotary masses. So I am going to explain you in as short as possible for the examination point of view. So we can move on. So here is the title, the balancing of rotary masses. As the title itself indicates, we are going to deal with something called balancing. So when you are going to deal with balancing, you should first know what is unbalancing. What is unbalanced forces that are acting on a body before you can move on to balancing. So let me explain to you what actually is unbalanced forces that are created on the rotary objects. So for example, you are designing a shaft. And for designing the shaft, you need to follow some design considerations. So this is the first step for designing a shaft. For designing, we have done the design within the design constraints, so our shaft is said to be balanced. But actually, when it's put into use, that is, when it's held on over an support, it tends to produce some unbalances. So, does that indicate that shaft, what we have done within the design constraints, is the reason for some unbalances? It's not so. As we have done it or made it within the design constraints, here the unbalance is created due to some effects on this support. So this support tends to face many unbalances, like unbalanced forces that are created or unbalanced moment that are created. In order to know about the unbalanced forces and moment, let me derive something for you for your better understanding. Okay, the shaft which we had considered has a mass m and velocity v. As you all know, these are the notations. When the shaft is actually put into use, then under dynamic conditions, the analogy of mass is inertia and the analogy of velocity is angular velocity. These are the four things you all know. So the next step is to make use of this things that are available to us, that is the data, mass and velocity, inertia and angular velocity. With that we are going to derive what is the reason behind unbalances. I have already gave you some hint that these unbalances are due to some forces and moments. So let us see whether it's actually true or not. So mass times velocity. What is the term actually called? Momentum. This is called linear momentum. What it is inertia into angular velocity called? It's called angular momentum. So these are the two terms we have derived. Okay, now for average angular momentum, this means m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus m3 v3 plus etc. up to mn vn. This is the we have to derive this m1 v1. Okay, similarly we have to derive for angular momentum to I1 omega 1 plus I2 omega 2, similarly these conditions. Okay, after deriving the value for linear momentum and angular momentum, we have to check these conditions under dynamic case. As the shaft is in movement, this characteristics goes on changing with time. So P bar by T, L bar by T are the two newly obtained conditions. So P bar, as you know, is M average, V average, similarly by T. This is I average, V average by T. Okay. What is V by T? It's nothing but acceleration M in times A. Similarly, what is I into V by omega? This is omega. Okay. Omega A by T. It's angular acceleration IAV into angular acceleration alpha. So what this MA stands for? It stands for force. What is I alpha stands for? It stands for moment. So the thing I hinted at the beginning has come true. So there are unbalances mainly due to the unbalanced forces and unbalanced moments. So in order to remove these unbalances, we have to move on to balancing of rotary masses. So let's take an example to solve this. Let us consider a shaft. This is a line diagram and it has its supports at the ends. Supports mean that are rigidly fixed at the ends. Okay, this is a shaft supported. Now we are checking the shaft for unbalances and we have found out that at this point there is certain unbalance that is taking place. So at that point we can call this as unbalanced mass. So whenever a mass undergoes some dynamic conditions, this mass converts itself into some force called centrifugal force. So what actually is centrifugal force is the force which tries to move the body outwards is called centrifugal force. Whenever a mass, unbalanced mass undergoes some dynamic conditions, the mass becomes a centrifugal force. It is nothing but Fc. So this is a centrifugal force. In order to balance it, we have to place a balanced mass beneath it, whose value is such that it counteracts this unbalanced centrifugal force. It will be minus Fc. This is a very simple condition, and the balance takes place internally because there is no moment created. So only a force is created and the force is balanced in opposite direction. These cancel each other and its effects is removed. So let's move on and make things more complicated and interesting. Same condition, some point at there is a force and supports are rigidly fixed. But in this case, there is some space constraint that if we are, this is of 10 kilogram unbalanced weight, we have to place a 10 kilogram of balanced mass beneath it in such a way that it counteracts the effect of the centrifugal force that is created due to this mass. But due to some space constraint, we cannot place the 10 kilogram weight beneath it because shaft size is of smaller diameter, so you cannot place such a weight in one position. So I am now dividing the 10 kilogram into 6 and 4, or any case 6 kilogram and 4 kilogram. Okay. So according to our purpose, it has been balanced because 10 kilogram has been balanced by another 10 kilogram acting in reverse direction. But here there is a problem because in this case internal balancing cannot take place because the weight is not balanced at the position where unbalance is created. It is placed eccentrically at some distance. So this distance comes into play while we are balancing. So now, apart from this centrifugal force that is creating some unbalance, along with that some moments also created, which causes some bending moment. So even this moment has to be counteracted while doing this problem. So this is the second condition. First condition was internal balancing, and now this is external balancing, where moment also comes into picture. So let's take another example. Similarly, a shaft that supports. Now there is some unbalance, and you have given it to service for a mechanic, and he is doing some changes properly, and he checks. While he is checking, it's all proper and is completely balanced. Now he is giving to you back, and you are checking. See here. Okay. So the mechanic says that he found out some unbalance in this position, so he has balanced it using another mass, and now both of these have a common center of rotation. Both have a common center of rotation. So you check it by placing it on a support again, the shaft. Now on checking it, you feel that it's still something that is causing unbalance. This is due to the case called static unbalancing. During static condition, it's actually balanced because it has a common angle of rotation. But while it is put into use for practical condition or a dynamic condition, its angle of center of rotation goes on changing. So due to this reason, some unbalance is created. This is called static unbalance. So these three were the common type of unbalances that are created, and we performed balancing to them. Now we are going to see what it actually takes place in a shaft by considering two planes. The shaft is placed between two planes, and how we are going to rectify the unbalances. So there you go. Supports. I place here two planes. Two planes here. I find that there are three unbalances at various points. At this point, at 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. The various unbalances. I call them F1 because these are all centrifugal forces under dynamic conditions. F2 and F3. So, in order to remove that effect, we cannot study and balance this many forces. Now we are having three forces, we are trying to balance it. It will take some longer amount of time because we have to place some balancing masses for each forces. In some condition, the force will go on increasing. For larger number of forces, we cannot place unbalanced masses for greater number of forces. So, in order to remove the effect of these forces, I am going to remove these forces. For example, the force F1 was about 10 Newton. I am dividing its effect about 6 Newton, 4 Newton or 5 Newton as you wish, and placing it on two planes. Some 6 Newton here and 4 Newton here. Similarly, for second condition, about 8 Newton, 6 2 similarly, 6 Newton, 2 Newton. Similarly, for another 4 Newton case, something 3 Newton and 1 Newton. So we have three forces each. This may be called as F1 is divided into F1A on one plane and F2A on another plane. Similarly, F1B, F2A and F2B on another plane. F3 is F3A, F3B on another plane. So we have properly reduced the effect of unbalances in between the shaft, and we have transferred its effect to the planes. From this plane, we can draw a resultant: 4 Newton, 1 Newton and 1 Newton. All these three will have an resultant, and this effect of these three forces can be represented by a single resultant, namely RA. Similarly, effect of these forces can be represented by another resultant called RB. So these effects of these forces can be turned into RA and RB. And in order to counteract these things, you can place unbalancing masses. Thus, we have simplified our balancing technique according to our wish. Similarly, how much ever forces they may be, how much ever different planes you can take, but at last there should be only two balancing masses, because it's the simplest condition. So you should not try to make your things complicated. You should try to simplify your problem and complete it with ease. So going on to balancing by analytical method. Analytical method. This accurate form of method, I have prepared a guide for solving this. Your book may follow some other method, but this will be helpful for you during the exam times. So, in order to, you can do it in a tabulated way so that it's easier for you for solving. You take a plane, and different planes have different angle of rotations, and they have a mass, and we have something called eccentricity. Eccentricity is also termed as a radius in some books, so it can be either eccentricity or radius. You take it, and ME, the next term, product of this. Then there is some term called X. X is the distance that is taken by keeping one plane as reference. For example, this is plane 1, and these are some unbalances in between. This is the distance measured from one plane as reference. This is the value of X. Okay, this is the value of X. Then MEX. These are the common things. And now moving on to angular forms. ME can be in turn subdivided into ME cos theta in horizontal plane and ME sin theta in vertical plane. Similarly, MEX cos theta and MEX sin theta. These are nothing but horizontal forces. Force about x-axis. This is vertical forces about y-axis. Similarly, moment about x-axis, moment about y-axis. These are the things that you will tabulate it according to the values that are given. And for balancing, you have to consider that the overall effect of the forces and the overall effect of the balancing couple, that there should be no unbalancing. So you should equate this to 0. All these things. You get 4 equations. If you solve all these 4 equations with each other, you can find out the unknown terms like eccentricity, some missing value of eccentricity, unbalanced, what is the unbalanced force, what is the overall unbalanced moment. You can all find it out using simple trigonometric methods. Oh, if you want to copy it down, mx me cos theta, me sin theta, mex cos theta, mex sin theta. This all will be equal to 0. 0 equal to 0 equal to 0. So please copy it down, it will help you during the exam times. Now moving on to graphical method. Don't worry on seeing the graphical method that is followed in your book. It is very simple actually, but its value you get is not even closer to accurate methods. But in case some angles are missing, you have to follow graphical method to find those angles, but the results will not be accurate in nature. But graphical method is easier as compared to analytical method for some people, and some people fear on seeing the drawing methods. But equally, both are equally easy. So for example, you have to follow graphical method. Planes would be given when angles is given. Some planes A, B, C, D. Some angles 30 degree, 90 degree, 150 to 280. Okay, this is the free body diagram. Something, this is a reference point, and there is something called O, or from origin which we take, it's 0 degree, and it's 0 degree. This is 30 degree, 90 degree, 150, it's about 280 degree. Watch here, everything are taken with reference to the origin line. So have this diagram for reference to draw the velocity diagram. 0, A, B, C, D. Okay. Velocity diagram is nothing but a simple line diagram. This is the first force. Space constraint here for me. So here is the first force. Similarly, it's going that way. So here's another force. Here's another force. Here's another force. This way. It will come this way. Okay. A little bit bad at drawing without scales. So it will complete a diagram. It's called force diagram. It's nothing but a simple joining of forces according to their angular positions and drawing it. At the end of each force there will be another force that will be continuing. So similar is moment diagram, or most commonly called coupled diagram. But there is only one thing in moment diagram. While you are tabulating, if you find x negative, then the couple lags. If you find the x, that is the position you are taking. If you are taking this as reference for solving some unbalances, here x is negative, here the x is positive. This condition the couple lags, this condition the couple leads. Okay, similarly, using that we can draw it. For example, I consider here this case, x is negative, x is positive, x is positive, x is positive. Okay, you can draw like that. This one for first one, similar line diagram. Second one, similar, same. Now this is going this way. Instead, it will go opposite direction. Instead of going it this way, it will come this way. It goes in opposite direction, and you have to close the other end using something called balanced couple. Okay, this couple diagram. We can find in between angles of them if something were missing, and these all were drawn with a scale called m into e. Force is given by m into e, and these are given by m into e into x. These were drawn of magnitude mex and me by taking some suitable scales according to your need. So you have finished with the force diagram and moment diagram. So this is a way to do some graphical method. So hope you could get some amount of knowledge from this short lecture. Maybe not that short, okay, but it will help you only during the exam times. If you want to know more, learn more, read books. Books are precious things, and it will help you to understand more and more than the internet. So prefer books more than that. So always happy to help. Please help me to help you. Thank you.